Hey everybody, Autism Fitness founder Eric Chessen here, leading the movement for movement. And if you, yes, you, no, I'm seriously, you watching this right now, are ready to become an Autism Fitness Certified Pro and bring the best possible fitness and adapted PE and movement programs to the autism and neurodiverse individuals that you serve or are going to serve in the future, well, then it is time to become an Autism Fitness Certified Pro. Click the link or copy and paste the link in the description below. I don't know if it's a direct link or not. And if this video has been helpful for you, please like, subscribe, and definitely share, but definitely subscribe, but also definitely share. Right. Anyway, today in this Tuesday training, we are going to be talking about Programming 101. And this is going to be a two-part video series. So next week, yes, we're going to focus on the same thing again, but a little more in depth. And I'm actually borrowing from the Autism Fitness Level 1 certification, so you can get a little inside info into what exactly goes on. And this is just a small piece of it. So when we're designing programs for any athlete at any physical ability level, adaptive and behavioral withstanding, because we have some special considerations there, programming should be the simplest part of your overall strategy, making it really simple. Not simple because it's not going to be effective or needs to be less than, simple because simple works. Simple doesn't mean easy. Simple just means that it's straightforward. All right. So we have three sections, or three what we refer to in Autism Fitness Program as phases. So we have phase one, which is going to be our warm-up and mobility. What's the purpose of warm-up and mobility? And by the way, you see this level 1 certification. Yes, this is directly from the level 1. So warm-up and mobility, preparing the body for more challenging exercise or more challenging movement that's going to come later. We have two kinds of warm-up. We have general warm-up, getting the entire body ready without focusing on any one particular exercise in the power and strength section. And then we have specific warm-ups. This is usually for more advanced athletes if we're working on loaded squats or heavier carries or a push-up, for example. We might do a different warm-up exercise or two right before they start, similar to the way anybody would if they were loading up for a heavier squat. Well, you start with a lighter weight or you start with body weight, something like that. In the warm-up phase, we are looking for a couple things. We want to activate some hip mobility, and we need to be careful with these terms also because not everybody needs more hip mobility. Not everybody needs more thoracic extension, although most people do. And not everybody needs more shoulder flexibility. So the idea of, oh, more flexibility, we're going to make everybody more flexible, give them more mobility. Take it into context because we have to look at the athlete. But generally speaking, most of our autism and neurodiverse athletes are going to need, as do we all, basic mobility, some motor plan. This is where we work on a lot of motor planning activities, looking at hips, shoulders, basic movement patterns. This is where we have locomotion, getting from point A to point B, and level change. And these are some of the exercises that we use, and we'll go into more of this next week, some examples. But we use our hurdle steps, our cone touches, band walks and pulls, our bear crawl patterns. And this is, again, you can't just take this and say, okay, I'm going to use these exercises now. You have to understand how. All right? Dynamic movement and power. What we're looking at here is how can we create a powerful movement pattern and still remain safe and have integrity of the movement as well. This also promotes coordination and reaction skills as well. Notice you don't see jumping in here. We have very, very, very good reasons for that you find out in the level 1 certification. Jumping often is one of those kind of go-to exercises because it looks like something is happening, but it may be detrimental for the athlete. So it may not be in their best interest. And this is very, very, very important to know. All right. So everybody, let's do jumping jacks to warm up. Great. I have a good question. Why? And is the cost benefit ratio in the favor of doing the jumping jacks? Most times, no. Anyway, here we have movements that are safer and effective when implemented correctly. Not that jumps are not safe. Oftentimes for our population, we want to hold off. Again, good reasons for doing this. So we have our medicine ball throws. We have rope swings, which I absolutely love for elevating heart rate safely and effectively without any additional ground contact or causing problems with gait pattern or any type of exercise that really has a high rate of stomping on the ground or inappropriate ground contact. And sandbell slams, which are a perennial favorite among our athletes, upper body power, trunk stability, and rooting with the feet. And finally, we have the most important phase. We have our strength phase. So if we're looking at a typical 45 to 55-minute session, we would spend the majority of our time here in the strength phase. And the reason why is because those are the exercises that are going to have the most generalization for just about anybody, neuroadaptive, neurotypical, whomever. But those movement patterns are going to have the greatest generalization to activities of daily living. And even though we're separating by phase, so we have our warm-up, we have our dynamic movement and power, and then we have our strength, it doesn't mean that an athlete is not also getting mobility and motor planning from doing a squat, from doing an overhead press, from doing a band row. Because all of these movements done through a full range of motion are going to benefit all of these different qualities of movement. And, however, they need to be coached and cued correctly and performed at the current level of ability of that athlete. So instead of handing out workout templates here at Autism Fitness, we have to create the program around the athlete, because it's one thing to say, oh, they should squat and they should press and they should pull and they should carry. It's another thing to say, this is how to do it safely and effectively. All right, that is a major difference. It's not like this happens automatically. So those are our three phases of exercise that we use in most sessions. Again, there are highly specialized considerations for this, and you'll get some of that in the Autism Fitness Level 1 certification. You'll get the whole thing as far as programming in the Level 1 certification. But if you're looking, or if you're asking the question of how do I situate, how do I prioritize in my program, what should it look like, where should I start? We start with warm-up and mobility, and then we go to power and dynamic movement. So if we're picking 3 exercises in warm-up, it might be, for example, hurdle steps and then cone touch and then an overhead band walk. We do 2 or 3 sets of that, and then we go to power, and we have a push throw, an overhead throw, and a sandbell slam. We do that for 3 or 4 sets, and then we live the majority of the session in strength and stability, because, by the way, these are going to be the greatest movement deficits that we see for our athletes, and we're not going to clear up a strength deficit with just overhead band walks. We're not going to clear up a squatting or a low body strength deficit by running on a treadmill. That's not the way it works. That's not human biomechanics. That's not strength and sports science. You have to apply the appropriate exercise at the appropriate level if we want to create a training effect. So if you're wondering about how to create your own programs, that's the starting template, is those 3 sections. And from there, we have to fill them in. And of course, you have to assess your athlete so you know where you're starting with each exercise. So that is Programming 101. I am Eric Chessen, founder of Autism Fitness. You are about to sign up for your Level 1, which you can also do the curriculum entirely online and then meet me for your virtual or in-person Level 1 practical, where you get the hands-on, brains-on, feet-on training that you and your athletes deserve. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, to share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.